So you've got your mortgage agreement in principle, you've gone through Rightmove, you've spoken to loads of annoying estate agents and you found a property you want to view. What do you do actually on the viewing? In this video we're going to find out. Hi, my name's Everitt. I've been an estate agent in Essex, the UK for nearly 17 years. And if you want the best tips and advice on buying and sell property, please consider subscribing and pressing that bell button as well. You pull up to the house that you've booked a viewing for, you knock at the door, but what do you actually do when you walk through the door? We're going to go for a few things here that you should look out for so there's no unexpected surprises later on down the line. One of the first things you can do when viewing a property is making sure that the property looks structurally sound. You can do this quite easily just by looking around at each room with detail. When you're viewing a property, two of the most easiest things to spot are damp and cracks in the walls. Damp is one of the most easiest things to spot if you know where to look. Most damp patches will appear on the cold walls in a property. So when you're looking at the windows and the window sills, etc., if you have a look around the actual base of the wall, up the corners and in the corner of the ceiling, these are generally where damp patches appear. The second easy thing to look out for is obvious cracks in the property. This goes for the inside and the out. So if you do see the odd hairline crack in a wall or in a ceiling, there shouldn't be too major cause for alarm. But if you start seeing cracks that you could fit a 50p or a pound coin through, that may indicate there might be a bigger issue at hand. And of course you can ask the owner if the owner's there, if they've had that looked into, if there's been any history of subsidence, those sorts of questions to help ease any concerns that you might have. Another thing to look at is the windows. You want to make sure they all open and close. You want to make sure there's keys for each of them as well. And also you're checking while you're inspecting the windows if any of the panes of glass have actually misted up. If they have, that would indicate that the seal has gone and you may need to get those either replaced or repaired. The next tip, something I'm guilty of not doing, is popping your head up into the loft. Don't be scared to ask the owner. It's always nice to know whether your loft is actually boarded. And while you're looking up there, seeing the space that you do have a look around to see if you can see any daylight coming through the actual roof. If you can, then that would indicate there is a slipped tile or some sort of defect which would need looking at. Whilst you're up there, you can also look at the roof timbers. If you can see if there's any sort of holes in there or dust from the roof timbers, that may indicate that there's a woodworm problem which may need to be rectified later. Another thing you may want to have a look at, cast your eye over, would be the electricity board, the fuse board. The most modern fuse switches at the time of making this video are in a metal container box which you lift up, and there's a row of switches which are the individual circuits for the property, and these will trip if there's a fault or something goes wrong with one of the electrical appliances. If you're buying an older property or a property that hasn't been renovated or improved in the last 20 years, you may find an older style fuse board with the block switches. Now my advice would be to either budget when you move in to have that replaced, and depending where you live that could be £300 to £500, or look to see if you can get that money off the price so you can get that done at a later date. Another thing you want to check is the boiler. Most people get their boiler serviced every year. They may have a British Gas service plan or something like that. However, some people don't. And if they don't have it tested, then you may buy the property, move in, and there may be a fault with the boiler. Now, to stop that from happening, you can ask the owner if the boiler has been serviced, if so when, and ask for proof of that. Don't be scared to ask. Most owners, if they've got the certificate, are more than happy to show you. If there isn't a valid gas certificate on the property, you may wish to get that tested before maybe even putting an offer in or exchanging contracts. Of course, when you're going around the inside, you can also look at the kitchen fittings, making sure doors close properly. You can check the tap pressure, the shower pressure, how hot the water is. Those sorts of things you can do quite easily. But don't forget to look outside. A lot of people don't actually have a good look around the outside. You want to be looking at slip tiles on the roof, blocked guttering, the actual land that the property is on as well. Is it maintained? Are there fence panels down that you might be responsible for re-erecting or replacing? So have a look at the outside as well, just to make sure that there's no surprises later on that you find yourself responsible for. Always go back to the property at least one more time after your initial viewing. Just because the property was perfect on a Saturday sunny afternoon doesn't mean that at 6 o'clock in the evening during the week there isn't going to be neighbours playing loud music or a lot more cars down the road. Don't be scared to take half hour, 45 minutes, even an hour viewing each property. You want to know everything about that house so you can make an informed decision on whether to purchase the property or not. You don't want any surprises later on. You don't want anything to occur after you bought the property, because if it happens after, it's too late. You can't change your mind. You've already paid the money, you've already moved in. So there was a few things you can do when viewing a property to make sure there are no surprises later on. Take your time with these things, look, go back again, go at different times, take friends, family, tradesmen round if there's anything you're not quite sure on, and of course you can always ask the owner and the estate agent for any help and advice. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of what we're going to do, please hit that subscribe button and the bell as well so you get a notification every time we post. Any questions, any comments, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.